please. Tickets? Well, you coming?
It was cold and snowy on the island of Sodor. The village children had built a snow engine. They were excited. The winter holidays were here. People were coming from far and wide to visit the island. This year, there was even more snow than usual. It covered the island and blocked the roads. Bertie the bus couldn't take any passengers. So Sir Topham Hatt came to Tidmouth's sheds. "Percy, you are to pull the passengers today," said Sir Topham Hatt. Percy was worried. He usually took the mail or shunted freight cars. He hadn't pulled passengers for a long time. "Gordon will show you what to do," said Sir Topham Hatt, and he left. "I'm an express engine," huffed Gordon. "I shouldn't be slowed down by a small engine like Percy." Gordon went with Percy to the depot, but when Percy backed up to collect his coaches, he bumped them very hard. "No, no, no! You need to puff smoothly," Gordon huffed impatiently. "Watch me! You'll soon learn how to pull passengers." Gordon backed smoothly up to his coaches and buffered up to them gently. "Very smooth," said the yard manager. "The best buffering I've ever seen." Gordon was so proud he thought his boiler would burst. Maybe teaching Percy will be fun," Gordon said to himself. "Then he'll see I'm the biggest and the best." Gordon pulled into Knapford Station. He rolled smoothly to a stop. "Perfect," Gordon chuffed. Then Percy pulled into the station. "Look at all those passengers," he gasped. He blew his whistle and wheezed lots of steam. "You're doing it all wrong," huffed Gordon. "Don't wheesh until your passengers are on board. Watch me." Gordon waited. When all the passengers were on board, he wheeshed some steam. Gordon was very proud. He liked showing Percy that he was the best. Gordon was having lots of fun, but Percy wasn't. Percy was fed up. Gordon and Percy puffed across the island. Gordon puffed through the snowy valley. Percy puffed under the icy bridge. Later, Gordon and Percy were at another station. Their passengers were all on board. Percy wheezed some steam. "You're learning a little bit," groaned Gordon, "but you're still not doing it right. Watch me." Gordon wheezed some steam and pulled out of the station. "Big blue show-off," puffed Percy. But Gordon wasn't listening. He was already puffing through the countryside. "I'm so clever," Gordon chuffed. "There must be someone else I can show." And there was. "Watch me," Gordon chuffed as he raced past James. "I puff nice and smoothly." Then he raced past Toby. "Watch me! I'm the fastest and the best!" Gordon puffed into the station. He was very excited. There were lots of people he could show off to. "Watch how smoothly I can go!" Gordon was so busy showing off, he didn't see how icy the track was. Gordon slid right through the station and into a siding. Everyone watched as he puffed into a big pile of snow. "Yuck!" coughed Gordon. Luckily, no one was hurt. Sir Topham Hatt was very cross. "I asked you to teach Percy," he said sternly, "not show off all afternoon. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir, Gordon puffed quietly. Just then, Percy puffed past. He pulled smoothly into the station. All of Percy's passengers arrived safely at the platform. Gordon's passengers had to walk through the snow. Gordon was very embarrassed. His face was as red as Bertie the bus. But Edward soon pulled him out of the snowdrift. Later that evening, it was time to go home. The passengers were all aboard Gordon and Percy. Gordon wanted to show Percy how smoothly he could puff. But then he remembered sliding into the snowdrift. Gordon didn't want to look silly again. Percy, you go first, Gordon puffed. Show me how smoothly you can go. So Percy pulled smoothly out of the station, and Gordon followed him. Gordon and Percy puffed through the snowy countryside, and Gordon didn't show off once. At last, Gordon and Percy arrived at Tidmouth's sheds. "Did you see how smoothly I puffed?" asked Percy. "Yes," said Gordon. "You have learned very well." Percy was proud. "But then again," Gordon added, "I am a very good teacher."
"Driver says there's more snow on the way," said Edward. "We'll soon be wearing our snowplows," said James. "You'll enjoy that, won't you, Thomas?" teased Henry. "You know I won't," said Thomas. "I don't like my snowplow."
It was a crisp, cold winter day on the island of Sodor. Snow lay thick on the ground. The engines were working extra hard. James was pulling the slow goods train. He had stopped at a signal. Percy pulled up alongside carrying the mail. "Hello, James," said Percy. Then the signal changed to green. "Goodbye, James," whistled Percy, and he was off in a flash. "I was here first," grumbled James. "Why do I have to wait?" "The mail train is more important than slow goods," said his driver. Later, when James stopped for water, Thomas was already in front of him. "I have to go first," said Thomas excitedly. "I am a guaranteed connection." "Everyone has a more important job than me," grumbled James. "Nonsense," said Thomas. "Everyone knows you're a really useful engine." But James wanted to be an important engine, too. Later that day, Sir Topham Hatt came to see James. "You must take coal to all the stations on the island," he boomed. "If the fires in the waiting room go out, the passengers will get cold and complain." "It is a very important job," he added. "You can rely on me, sir," said James proudly. Sir Topham Hatt left. James was excited. "An important job," he said happily. "Phew," sniffed Gordon. "It's only a load of coal after all." "Nonsense," snorted James. "I am going to keep the passengers warm. What could be more important than that?" And he wheeshed over to the water tower. But there was a line at the water tank. "Come on," he steamed impatiently. "I have an important job to do." "Wait your turn, bossy boiler," said Thomas. James felt too important to wait, so he didn't. James rushed to the coaling station. he met Edward waiting at a junction. Edward was looking bothered. He had too many jobs and he was feeling puffed out. "Can you take these slate cars to the quarry?" Edward asked. "Sorry, Edward, but I can't," puffed James. "I've got the most important job on the island." And he chuffed grandly away. James arrived at the coaling station. He buffered up to the coal cars and was on his way. James was looking forward to delivering his coal. "Now I'm useful and important," he chuffed happily. Then there was trouble. James puffed harder and harder. He went faster and faster. And then he began to feel hotter and hotter. "I don't feel well," wailed James. And he had to stop. "Your water tanks have run dry," his driver told him. "We'll have to wait for help." Just then, Edward pulled up beside James. "Please push me to the water tank," pleaded James. "I'm sorry," Edward puffed sadly. "You wouldn't take my freight cars to the quarry, and now I'm running late with my passenger train." And Edward steamed away. Edward stopped and told the signalman all about James. The signalman telephoned for help, and soon Salty was on his way. He pulled up alongside James. "Why didn't you fill up with water this morning, matey?" James told him about the line at the water tank. "I've heard you were too busy to help Edward too," said Salty. "I was in a hurry," protested James. "Mine is the most important job on the island." "No job is more important than helping another engine," said Salty firmly. And deep down in his boiler, James knew Salty was right. Thanks to Salty, James's water tank was soon filled and he was well on his way. He knew he had to make up for lost time. Then James saw Diesel up ahead. He had broken down and looked unhappy. James wanted to tease him, but then he remembered what Salty had said. "No job is more important than helping another engine," he said to himself. "And even Diesel is an engine. Come on, Diesel, I'll push you back to the sheds." Pushing Diesel and pulling freight cars was hard work. At last, James got Diesel to the repair yard, but he still had to deliver his coal. The wind blew, and it was getting colder by the minute. James steamed all over the island, delivering coal to the station waiting rooms. Everyone was pleased to see James. Thanks to him, they were all kept toasty warm. The next morning, Sir Topham Hatt came to see James. He knew all about him running out of water and his not helping with Edward's trucks. "I'm sorry, sir," said James. "I put my own job first." "But you did learn your lesson and you helped Diesel," Sir Topham Hatt boomed cheerfully. "And you delivered your coal on time. You, James, are a really useful engine." James nearly burst with pride. "Thank you, sir," he said. Being really useful was better than feeling important.
Paxton the Diesel was waiting at Elsbridge for Percy to pass by. James had steamed in with his coaches.
"Hello, James."
Hi, Paxton. Have you heard the news?
"What news?"
It's supposed to be snowing next week.
"How is that news when I've heard that 5 minutes ago?"
Anyway, are you ready for the snow?
I would say so. I don't have a snowplow for me yet, and I'm not ready for the cold.
Ah, that's the pros of being a steam engine. You should try it. Our firebox is all the heat we need.
Paxton didn't say any more and rolled away with his trucks. Snow had arrived on the island, and James was getting ready for the day. The firelighter was struggling getting James's fire to stay lit. James was late on collecting his passengers, or so he thought.
Where are my coaches?
Ah, James, you may notice your coaches are gone. That's because Paxton was already ready this morning and took them.
Does that mean I have to work at the wharf?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Charlie shunted Paxton's trucks behind James. Go easy now. Your fire might go out at any time in this cold. That gave James an idea.
You wouldn't! I would. Once I get to Gordon's Hill, I will put my fire out.
For what reason would you do that?
The reason is so I won't have to go to the wharf with the dirty trucks.
I would like to see you try. James had thundered down the line. Someone seems to be in a better mood.
You have no idea.
James came to the bottom of Gordon's Hill and slowed down. Then his steam pressure dropped. Come on, James, or we will get stuck. James didn't care. Soon enough, they had stopped. The guard had walked and gotten help. Nia had come and pulled James to Ellsworth, and Emily took the train over for him. Later, James's fireman tried to light his fire, but it was struggling. Looks like you won't be going anywhere. Can't get your fire lit.
Oh, bother!
James was to stay in the station siding till another engine brought him to the sheds. He waited, and waited, and waited. Without his fire, he'd gotten colder by the second. Paxton and Thomas had pulled into Wellsworth with the goods train. They looked and saw a cold blue James in the siding. Huh, I guess you were going to do it.
You could say you thought he was all frost, no bite.
Well put, Paxton. Well put.
One, two, three! Suddenly, like magic, the station was flooded with lights. Ladies and gentlemen and children, I give you 3 cheers for Thomas the Tank Engine and all his friends who have made this occasion possible. Everyone cheered and the party began. It's no fun getting stuck in the snow, whispered Thomas to Percy, but it was worth it for this party. Happy holiday, Percy. Happy holiday, everyone.